So it's been a couple of days where there's been a lot of news. I've been missing. I missed my stream last night as well. I genuinely wasn't feeling well. I had a really bad cold. I think I slept for about 12 hours, all in all, straight. First time, my body is really appreciating it. I feel a lot better for it. I may still sound a bit bunged up, but the fact that I managed to get like 12, 13 hours of sleep straight tells you everything you need to know. But I am feeling a lot better, a lot more refreshed. And well, the news we have today is kind of important because it leans in towards what I've been saying all along. Now, if you do find this information useful or simply enjoy the content or want to support what I do or just want to see this channel grow, hit that like button. Maybe we can get to 250 likes. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel or a returning member who has yet to subscribe. If you have already subscribed, you're a legend. If you want to support me further, you can do that through Patreon, you can do that through YouTube membership, and of course there's the super thanks if you want to just, thank the video, or if you want to ask any specific question and have that tailored straight to my attention, so, because I get notified of those immediately, you can do that as well, and I will answer those questions and also make it frontline first thing that I cover in the next video as well. So, with that said, it looks like, according to Idlesoft, Microsoft has an all-digital white Xbox Series S in the works. It kind of does look pretty sweet. I do like it. It looks pretty sick. Now, obviously, this is a mock-up. This isn't the real thing, but white looks good, right? But Microsoft is planning to release a digital Xbox Series X somewhere between June and July this year. Now, this has raised contention, this has raised concerns, because Phil Spencer just the other day came out and said, hey, we're still valuing physicals and physicals aren't going anywhere, but here's a all-digital console that kind of goes contrary towards that. But hey, the Series S exists, so, it's a thing. If they price this right and they actually give it with like 2 terabytes or maybe even 3 terabytes of hard drive space for, $399 or $349.99, I think that's going to sell really, really well. The price of the digital Xbox Series X is unknown, but it could be lower than the current model. I expect it to be because it is a digital console. There's rumors that it's going to be swapped out and replace the current X. I don't know how true that is. That doesn't make sense. If they are going to do that, they would need to provide some form of add-on like the PlayStation does for the disc drive, because people still have physical discs. Obviously, this isn't targeted to those that already have the Series X, but still, there are games that you can still buy in the shops, and I think they should actually, release an add-on that you can plug into the back and use that as a drive for your disc-based games. At least that's my opinion. That way it caters for both worlds, and it's, one, you get to sell the console, but if they want to buy the disc drive as well, it's an additional accessory that you can charge for. So it's a win-win for Microsoft, and it gives the consumer the choice on what they want to do. Now, originally this was supposed to be scrapped. As we know, it was supposed to be cylindrical, and that was supposed to have been pushed aside in favor of them going 2026. And that kind of still is the case. We don't know if it's going to be cylindrical or if it's going to be a square like it is right now. I kind of like the square design. I'm a big fan of the new Series X design. I like it. But what is interesting is that in the business update, they announced that there is new consoles coming. So this whole notion that Xbox is going third party because they've given 4 games is just baloney. My opinion, they're doing this to appease their agreement with the courts and the FTC that they will not be foreclosing games. They will be providing some of those games on a case-by-case basis to other platforms. What will this do in the future? The future is when they go to buy Capcom, when they go to buy Sega, when they go to buy someone else, they will still, the opposition will be less restrictive. They're not going to have the opposition that they had with ABK. The reality is, even if the FTC tried to, Microsoft will then turn around and say, well, look, after a year or two, we're putting these games on other platforms. We're letting our consumers enjoy them first, day and date, for a year, 2 years, and then we're pushing them out. At the same time, games like, Pentiment didn't really do well. Games like Hi-Fi Rush didn't really do well. Sea of Thieves did well, but it's opening it up to a wider audience. Grounded was a bit of a hit and miss. It's a good game, but I think opening it up to a wider audience is probably the right choice. The only real contention here is Hi-Fi Rush, which is the 2023, in my opinion, Xbox Game of the Year. But by putting that onto the rival platforms, that adds real weight to Microsoft's claim that they are going case by case and they are looking at things on a more serious basis in pushing games out to other platforms. So if they go to buy Capcom, and let's say hypothetically they decided that they are going to make Monster Hunter an exclusive for Xbox, the FTC can't say anything because after a year it will go out to other platforms. Or maybe it's going to be exclusive for 6 months. The FTC again can't say anything because now there is precedent that even if a game is as popular as Hi-Fi Rush, regardless of whether people played it or not is irrelevant, regardless of its sales is irrelevant, it was still pushed out. And that is, in my opinion, the play here by Microsoft. So the fact that they're still focusing on consoles, the fact that they're still focusing on the actual hardware side, and they're looking to kind of push another refresh out in June. I think this is going to shadow drop, or at least, you know, drop with the actual June showcase, or at least be shown at the June showcase. It's supposed to be coming out, you know, in June, July, so that's when the actual showcase that's for Xbox is coming along. I think that's going to be the perfect point. Now, it's a shame it's not getting a power bump. I think it should have at least had a little bit of a power bump, even if it was 10%, even if it was just bolstering that RAM a little bit more, just something. But then that would create 3 different SKUs, and that could create even more problems. It would essentially be like a mini pro console, and I don't know how much Microsoft really wants to cater for something like that. But at the end of the day, this is the direction it looks like they're going, and I think, you know, this could work. Some of the specs that are supposed to be on this, like Wi-Fi 6, we've got the haptics controller being introduced with this, really cool stuff. But all this tells me is that for all those people that think that Xbox is out for the count, they're leaving the hardware industry, they're moving into third party, nothing of the sort. There is clearly a big plan here. There's clearly an agenda here, and you know, some of those games that were chosen probably were pushed by Microsoft and not Xbox. I'm talking, you know, Tim Stewart, Satya Nadella. You know, this was probably egged on a bit by them. There's no denying that. And you know, maybe they wanted more, and this is, you know, this was the compromise. Regardless of how the politics came about, there is a good thing here for the regulator side of things, because when Microsoft, and we know they're going to buy more publishers, right? We know this. We know that they are going to buy more. There's no doubt about it. They've already said multiple times they are not done buying because they want to build that war chest, and they want to build that, you know, ecosystem to make sure Game Pass is everywhere, and they increase that number of Game Pass sales for everyone. Now, my question is for Phil Spencer, if he even bothers to watch these videos, is this. If you want to sell Game Pass and you want to do day and day and you want to maximize your sales, of course, then, you know, that brings about the whole question about the Xbox ecosystem. What's included in the Xbox ecosystem is, should Steam be in the Xbox ecosystem when Game Pass PC exists? You're jeopardizing Game Pass PC sales by putting games on Steam. Otherwise, if it's not on Steam, people would be forced to jump into your ecosystem. I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions here, and maybe that's a video for another day that I'm looking to do, because I do want to get into that. But ultimately, you know, this is where we are at right now. I think this is the play that they're doing. This is where it is right now. This console probably is a real thing. An all digital Series X, I don't think it's going to replace the X, but you know, the current X, because that just doesn't make sense, because physical games are still a thing, and they've said that they're still releasing physical, so I think they'll probably coexist side by side. We're getting new announcements for consoles at the end of this year with the handheld and the full fat that will probably drop end of 2025, most likely 2026, and that's when we'll likely see Blade as well. Now, what does this mean for future exclusives? Who knows? But if games continue to sell badly on the console, then we may see more and more of those games eventually as timed exclusives on the platform. That's not necessarily a totally bad thing, because if they get it a year, 2, 3 years later, maybe even 4 years later, who the hell cares? At that point, I don't. I've played it. I've been done with it. It's done. I don't go back to games. But I understand people's issue with exclusives and it sells consoles. But if you're worried about that, then at the same time, you should be worried about Steam. You shouldn't just be worried about PlayStation, because Steam is also not inside the Xbox ecosystem. As much as you guys want to say it is not. And that's a reality. That's a fact. If people are buying it on Steam, they are not investing in Game Pass. And if they invested in Game Pass, these games going to other platforms probably wouldn't have needed to happen, because instead of having 34 million Game Pass subscribers right now, they probably would have had 60 million Game Pass subscribers right now. You see how this works when you don't give out your games to other platforms? I don't see anyone from PlayStation coming over. Not at all. But the fact that Steam is there and taking games away from Game Pass from PC, I think that's a bigger concern than PlayStation overall. But anyway, that's food for thought for another video. Let's leave that for the next time, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about this new Xbox. Are you looking forward to it? Does it excite you? Does it interest you? You know, if it's got 2-3 terabytes of internal storage, would you pick it up at $349.99? Is that something that would interest you? And also, you know, if they are still releasing hardware, it's clear that they are not going third party. And if they are pushing out the odd few games here and there, it is clearly to appease the regulators and nothing else. Right. If you have enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Don't forget to support the video, hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 250 likes. If you are new to the channel or a returning member, please consider subscribing. We're trying to hit 7,000 subs. And of course, if you want to support me further, you can do that through my Patreon, YouTube membership, and of course super thanks, which you can click underneath the video to thank for the video. And if you have any questions, like I said at the start of the video, I will respond to those as I get the notification, and also highlight them in the following video. Right folks, that's it. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.